All right, so second day in a row. Let's make sure that everything is sounding pretty good here. Should be good. Let me see. All right, it does sound pretty good. All right, then. I'm super excited to do this today because this is a different type of live stream. But anyway, all right, cool. So welcome to this special live stream session. And man, am I super fired up to talk about what is new with the Thrift Savings Plan, or TSP, in 2025. And this is not just a special live stream, but it's also a fundraiser because uh, every every dollar that comes to this live stream will be going directly to the USO. And I don't ever expect you, nor do I ever ask you for donations, because that's never my goal on social media. You only do it because you want to do it. Okay. You're already contributing to the fundraiser by being here. And all you have to do is watch a few YouTube ads, whatever comes on when they pop up, because all of those ad dollars will be going straight to the USO. And I do not get any money from this live stream today. But if you do want to donate in the live chat, that money is going straight to the USO, not to me or anybody else in my company. Now, I made a donation just now. It was kind of hard to figure out at first, but I did it. So, but not by any means you need to do it or anything like that. Okay, you can just be here and just be in the live chat, or be in the TSP. Just listen about the TSP. So, why am I doing this? For 20 years in the Air Force, I went to Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, and went on to so many trips that I lost count. And I met some of the greatest people in the military, and that's a bond that I'll never break with my brothers and sisters in there. And there's one thing the government or the military doesn't do right by, and that's providing financial education to our troops, or even the federal employees. So while the U.S. in general is behind on financial education, and I'm sorry, but people should not use a computer-based training program to learn about their finances, like what's a Roth TSP or traditional TSP, right? And my TSP was sitting in G Fund for almost 8 years before realizing it, and it's been sitting in CNS Fund since 2013, even after I separated from active duty. But I still missed out on the majority of the gains in the early 2000s when we went through the dot-com crash. And I don't ever want that to happen to this generation serving in the military or the federal government as a civilian employee. So I found my passion in finance, and this is a way for me to pay it forward to the guys and gals serving in the military and federal government as civilian employees. Uh, but anyway, some of the pictures that you can see here, just quickly, some of my time in DC, some of my time in Kuwait. If you look at the top middle picture, let me see if I can do a circle here. These guys, I don't know if you guys recognize them, but that's from a show called Sons of Anarchy. I was there, I think it was in 2010, and met some of the cast members. They were touring with the USO and the Sons of Anarchy. That TV show was really huge back then. It was really cool to meet them and talk to each one of them. Got a picture with them. Let me know in the live chat if you've ever seen that show. And met SecDef, then SecDef, Mattis, General Mattis back then. And then here's my basic training picture. And then, I was a trouble kid here. That was in Afghanistan, loving my life there, of course. And then this is just a photo of me in basic training bunkers when I went to visit Lackland Air Force Base. I believe this was in probably 2015, but it's been a while. It's really good to see the memories or whatnot. But I do plan on doing this fundraiser live stream every single year, just to raise the money for people who are serving overseas. And if you don't know, let me show you this. If you don't know what the USO is, it is a nonprofit organization that helps service members serving everywhere in the world and their families who had to stay behind at home. And this is especially a tough time for anyone deployed overseas with the holidays coming up. And we all know that Veterans Day is on Monday, but that day and Memorial Day have very different meanings to me as a veteran. For those of you who are just now tuning in, I am an Air Force veteran, and my job is to provide financial education to my audience and help as many veterans as I can with their finances. And on top of the fundraiser, I'm giving away my investing course. That's right, to one lucky member for absolutely free on this live stream. And here's the rule. You're going to have to watch my live stream from start to finish. And by the end of this live stream, one person in the live chat will get a free lifetime investing course. And all you have to do is enter free course in the live chat so I know that you're interested. And I'm going to have my computer app randomly select that person. And I will announce the winner at the end of this live stream. So stay tuned. Lisa and Regina were the last two winners. And if you're watching this on replay, you're not going to have a chance to win this today, but you'll have a chance at the next live stream on November 27th. And if you're interested in joining my private client program, you can schedule a 60-minute session with me by visiting firesignature.com/consultation. And veterans, you'll get a very, very good discount on this. So make sure to take advantage of it. There's going to be a discount code on the website itself for the veterans. And you can also get your free financial resources by visiting firesignature.com/resources to get all the 401k TSP calculator for absolutely free. All right. So without further ado, let's get into what's going on with TSP in 2025. Okay, so let me set this up here. All right, let's do this. All right, so let me you know what, before I go there. All right, thank you for the donation too. That's awesome. Again, all these donations will be going straight to the USO, not me. Okay, so I really appreciate you guys doing that. But anyway, let me go over some major changes happening to the TSP in 2025. And if you don't know what a TSP is, it is the federal government version of the 401k. And this video may be helpful for someone who may want to join the military or work for the federal government someday. Now, before you say none of this applies to you now, you have to remember that it may still apply to you someday. And especially when your income goes up. And that could be when you transition from the military to the federal government, or if you decide to join the private sector one day. Okay. Now, the first change you need to know is that the contribution limit is being increased from, oops, sorry about that. You know what? Oh, I messed that up. I closed it out. Great start with the live stream, buddy. Didn't mean to close it out. Hey, how's it going? Hey, Brian. Hey, Michael. Hey, Pearl. Good to see you guys. So let me make sure that I close out my screen. I'm sure you guys can see it now, but I'm trying to open it back up. And here we go. Now I got it back. Good Lord. Okay. Way to go. All right. All right. So the first thing, the first change that you need to know is that the contribution limit is being increased from $23,000 to $23,500. So for the federal employees who strive to max out their TSP every year, that's $904 every 2 weeks. If you're in the military, serving in the Air Force, Space Force, Navy, Army, Marines, and Coast Guard, then that's $1,959 a month. And if you're over the age of 50, the catch-up contribution limit will remain the same at $7,500. Now, this might be for a very small crowd, but maybe someone you know at work needs to know about this specific rule change. If you or someone you know is between the ages of 60 and 63, your catch-up contribution will go up to $11,250 instead of $7,500. And when you turn 64 years old, the catch-up contribution limit will go back down to $7,500. And it's not uncommon for people in their 60s to work in the federal government unless they're in a field that has a mandatory retirement age. It is a great way to catch up if you're behind on your TSP investments. And you can put the catch-up contribution in either traditional or Roth, regardless of your income. But that is just in 2025, because starting in 2026, if your gross income is over $145,000 in 2026, just the catch-up portion of your TSP contribution has to go into the Roth bucket, which means that you'll have to contribute the catch-up portion of your TSP in after-tax dollars. This means that 2025 is going to be your last year to make traditional catch-up contributions if your income is over $145,000. And keep in mind that the IRS can raise that wage threshold for 2026 because that $145,000 income limit was set for the 2023 wages. It could become 150,000 or maybe even 155,000 by 2026, but I'll keep you posted. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't done that already. So if you're not sure where to look for your wages, that is the most common question that I get. Do I look at gross earnings or do I look at the taxable income? You can look at the Medicare wages and tips. Okay. I purposely did not select Social Security because there's some states that do not, and some employees don't take out Social Security wages. Now, that's a topic for another day. So I'm just going to stick to Medicare wages and tips. Okay. So that's going to be on box 5 of your W-2, and you can look at your W-2 from the previous year. If you have multiple jobs, then you need to add up both W-2 wages from box 5 to see if you're over the $145,000 income threshold. And Section 603 of Secure Act 2.0 states that it's giving every 401k plan a 2-year administrative transition period to start giving out a Roth option. The TSP already has the option to do Roth or traditional, but the IRS is giving every 401k broker 2 years to add the Roth option. So you will have both Roth and traditional by January 2026 for every broker. So if you have a TSP and 401k at the same time, you might be a reservist, you may be a guardsman, and working in the private sector, that should apply to you. And we should also find out what the 2026 wage limit is going to be by October or November 2025. I doubt that it's going to maintain that $145,000 threshold, as I said earlier. I think it's going to increase from the adjusted inflation from 2023 until 2026. So again, if you're over the age of 50 in the year 2026 and your gross wages were $145,000, that $7,500 will need to be in Roth right here, okay? And you cannot put any of those dollars into the traditional or pre-tax dollars. If your wages are less than or equal to $144,999.99, then you have the option to contribute to either pre-tax or after-tax buckets, right here, okay? And if you're between the ages of 60 and 63, and your gross wages are $145,000 or more, then you can only put that $11,250 right here in catch-up contributions. Same thing in the Roth bucket of your TSP. If your gross wages are less than $144,999.99, then you can put that $11,250 in catch-up contributions in either the Roth or traditional bucket of your TSP. This was basically a silent way for the government to raise taxes now for people making over $145,000 or more. And if I'm being completely honest, I love the Roth option, but I do not love the fact that the government took away that option from the American people to choose between Roth and traditional. Unfortunately, putting the employee portion of your wages to your traditional TSP does not lower the gross wages. Okay, so let me go back to this. And so in box 5, if you remember, the gross wages in box 5 are Medicare taxable income. Okay, so if you're making, let's say, $160,000 a year, and you want to put $23,000 to your traditional TSP to lower your taxable income to $137,000, but that does not lower your taxable income for Social Security or Medicare. Okay, so that doesn't lower your Medicare wages and tips. So what you want to look at is your gross earnings and not the adjusted taxable income. And I know this can be confusing, so you can schedule a session with me by visiting firestarter.com/consultation and use the veteran discount if you're a veteran. And here are some additional changes that that's already taken place in 2024. One, check out the new iFund. The international fund, and this is not by any means financial advice, iFund is now updated with more diversified international small, medium, and large cap stocks. The new benchmark follows the MSCI All Country World Investable Market Index, excluding the USA, China, and Hong Kong index. So what that means is that it's investing in all those international stocks, excluding the US stocks, Chinese stocks, and Hong Kong stocks. Okay, so if you want more exposure to the international stocks inside your TSP, This iFund now tracks over 5,000 international stocks with Taiwan Semiconductor, Novo Nordisk, ASML, and Samsung as the top stock holdings. The common argument I hear is that the C fund already has enough international exposure, but I think this iFund has even more global exposure to 40. It was like 40 developed and emerging market countries. The international fund has been grossly underperforming other individual funds for several years now. So I like to see how this new benchmark is going to perform in the future. Let me see. And two, give me 1 second here. Sorry, there was an interference, so I got that out of the way. Two, if you're a designated public safety employee, when you start taking money out of your TSP when you separate from service and have 25 years of service under the plan, you will not have to pay the 10% penalty, even if you haven't reached the age of 50 when you separate. So if you become an FBI agent at the age of 23 and you decide to retire 25 years later at the age of 48, you can start taking TSP out without a 10% penalty. You should already know if you're a designated public safety employee anyway. And according to the OPM, you're a public safety employee if you're a federal law enforcement officer, Customs and Border Protection officer, federal firefighter, air traffic controller, nuclear material courier. I'm really curious what they do, or members of the U.S. Capitol Police. And third, you can now roll over your money from your Roth TSP to the Roth Simple IRA or Roth SEPs. And something else that you should be aware of is that starting in 2025, there's going to be a national 401k database that allows you to search for your old 401k plans that you probably didn't even know that existed. What you might want to do is move your old 401k to your current TSP plan. And you also have the choice to move your old 401k, 403b, or 457 to your traditional IRA or Roth IRA when you find your old accounts in the new database. So be sure to check out the database when it comes out in January. But we all know how the government works. They're always going to be delayed anyway. So I would say probably February. But here's some items that are still not implemented with the TSP. Now, I'm not sure when or if they'll ever do it. One, you still do not have the option to put the 5% employer match into the Roth bucket of your TSP at the time I'm recording this video. The 5% employer contribution will go into the traditional portion of your TSP. Your personal contribution, or what we call employee contribution, can be in either traditional or Roth, but the employer contribution has to go into the traditional bucket. What that means is that all of those employer matches will be in pre-tax dollars, and you'll be responsible for paying the taxes when you're retired and start taking distributions from your TSP. And I'm really hoping that the TSP will implement this change one day to allow employees to put their employer match to the Roth bucket every year, even if it means paying the tax up front. Let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on having a Roth option for the TSP employer match. I would figure that it's going to benefit the IRS or the federal government more because it's going to raise the tax revenue if people do choose to fund the Roth option for the employer match. Now, two, the student loan matching still doesn't exist, and this is probably due to the federal funding, and there are a lot of programs that give out student loan forgiveness working in the federal sector. Secure Act 2.0 allows employers to match employees' student loan repayments to their retirement. So, for example, I've seen a client of mine in the past, an employer who matches up to $300 a month into their 401k if the employee's minimum student loan payment amount was $300 a month. And there are a lot of federal employees carrying some type of student loan debt. And I think this could significantly boost their retirement savings while they're paying out their debt. But I doubt that they'll implement this provision anytime soon. But I'm hoping that they do. If the employees are actively paying off their student loans, then I'm all for the agency or the department that you work for to match the student loan payment for up to 5% of the salary. That's just my personal opinion. Okay. And with all of this information I just shared with you, log into your TSP account today to find out how much of your money is sitting in Roth and how much of your money is in pre-tax. You need to keep track of your pre-tax and Roth contributions so that you'll know what to do if you decide to move away from the government sector and work in the private sector or the nonprofit sector one day. If you're looking to invest in your TSP for the long term because you're making a career in the military or the federal government, take a look at your contribution rate. The 5% contribution should be the bare minimum to get the employer match, right? That's free money you don't want to leave on the table. What you really want to achieve is going from 5% to 15% and then eventually to 20. Uh-oh. Can you hear me now? How long did you lose my audio for? Some kind of weird connection going on with YouTube today. I am not sure what's going on, but that's okay. But really awesome. Let me know in the live chat if any of you guys are veterans too, or if you're working as federal employees. Love to know where you're watching this from. So let me go ahead and, huh, jeez. Okay. Let me see if I can give, yep, okay. Huh. Okay. Channel membership is disabled for this live stream. Oh, that's great. Okay. I was going to give out channel membership, but it's not in there. But if you guys want to get the free investing course, make sure to type in free course in the live chat, and my computer app is going to randomly select that person to get the free investing course. So that's a lifetime access valued at $350, and that's free for you forever. So just make sure you put it in the live chat if that's something that you're interested in doing. Hold on one second. Let me see. All right. Audio's good. I think it's pretty good. Oh, awesome. Free course. Okay. All right. Yeah. Wow. Home office, Navy veteran, Air Force engineer. Thank you. Appreciate you. Medically retired Fed. Awesome. Marine and Army vet. Did you start from the Marines and then finish with the Army, or did you start with the Army and then finish with the Marines? It's awesome. Ooh, nice. Washington State. I was stationed at Fairchild for a while in Spokane, Washington. Um, used to go to Seattle a lot, and I see that you're a Seahawks fan. I hope you're doing okay. I'm just kidding, man. Let's see. Texas. Awesome. Civil service. Awesome. Thank you. Air Force and FAA. Are you like you working admin or like air traffic controller? What do you do? Pilot? It's awesome that you guys are all here. Appreciate you guys being here. Okay, so a couple questions that I do want to answer here. Okay, so Roth versus traditional TSP. This is a very common question that I want to go over. Oh yeah, I have that. Okay, cool. Make sure the audio is still good. All right, cool. All right, so this is the number one question that comes up a lot, and that's the debate between Roth and traditional for the 401k. But in this video, I'm going to focus specifically on the TSP for federal employees and military members. When should you choose Roth TSP? And then when should you choose a traditional TSP? So let's dive into that. And the first thing you need to understand is the marginal tax rates. The 2025 marginal tax rates were just released by the IRS a few weeks ago, and this is just the federal income tax. But if your combined marginal tax rates between federal and state are, let's say, under 25%, I would say you get more out of from the Roth TSP. Let me touch on the military pay first. And if you're a federal employee, you can skip to the next segment of this video if you're watching this on replay. But anyway, and I'll leave chapters in the description below so you can navigate the video yourself. So if you're enlisted in the military, I would argue that investing in Roth would be more beneficial. Even at the pay grade of E9 with over 30 years of service, your taxable income is around $107,000 a year, and that's before the standard deduction of $15,000 for a single individual or $30,000 for a married couple. And that income sits around a 24% marginal tax rate for single individuals and a 22% marginal tax rate for married couples filing their taxes jointly. And that's not counting your bonus or other incentive pay that is taxable, like if you get flight pay and stuff like that. And because your BAH and BAS are not taxable. And I would argue that most enlisted folks would benefit more by investing in the Roth portion of the TSP, unless they have a spouse who makes significantly more income in the private sector or in the government sector that puts them at the 32% marginal tax rate right here, right? And then I would look into the traditional portion of the TSP. It really depends on each household's financial situation. And you don't have to always do entirely on Roth versus traditional, because next year you're going to have 23,500. That is the maximum. And you can literally split that in half between Roth and traditional if you want to. And that half that TSP, if that's going to lower your taxable income from 32% to 24%, and then you can put the other half into Roth. I mean, that's one strategy that you can do. And for the officer side, it's not until you're single or unmarried 08 officer, which is a rear admiral in the Navy or a 2-star general in the other branches, to be close to getting above the 32% marginal tax rate. And this is all based on the 2024 pay chart. Let me see if I can pull that up here. I thought I had it pulled up in advance. Pretty sure I did. Yep, I did. So if you can't see it, you can always pinch on the YouTube screen and then take a look at the active duty chart. But this is based on the 2024 pay chart. So unless you're a 3-star or 4-star general or admiral watching this video, which would be awesome, and you're about to hit $17,000 in monthly base pay, I would still strongly argue that the Roth TSP is the way to go. But again, it depends entirely on your complete financial situation. What is your total taxable income with your spouse? Do you have any other income sources like real estate or dividends from your investments, right? And for federal employees, you're most likely in the 24% marginal tax rate if your income is less than $212,000, and that's adding the standard deduction of $15,000 for single individuals. And I would pay attention to this more if you're a GS 14 or 15 or in the senior executive service or SCS in the DC or Maryland area, where you make significantly more money because of the locality rate. If you're somehow approaching the 32% federal marginal tax rate here, or a combined tax rate of 25% or more with federal and state, then you could, like I said earlier, partially contribute to traditional TSP or lower your taxable income. To lower your taxable income, not or. Otherwise, the tax rates are still significantly lower, so the Roth contribution can still benefit in the long term. And keep in mind that this calculation does not include your state income tax. And if you're married and filing your taxes jointly, your 24% federal marginal tax rate is much higher than of a single individual. So if your income is above $424,000, after adding the standard deduction of $30,000, you're still going to be in the 24% marginal tax rate. So let me run some scenarios here and see if it's going to help you figure this out. Okay. So with the Roth TSP, I'm going to first do the single individuals, and then I'm going to do the married couples later on in this video. So let's assume that you are 35 years old and single, and your gross income is going to be $100,000 a year, which is really good income. And after your standard deduction of $15,000, your taxable income is going to be $85,000 for the 2025 tax brackets. So the first $11,925 will be taxed at 10%, and the next $36,550 will be taxed at 12%, and then the next $36,525 of that $85,000 income will be taxed at 22%. So for the Roth TSP, because you're paying the taxes on the contribution now, you want to assume that you're paying at the highest marginal tax rate. So in this income scenario, it's showing a 22% marginal tax rate. That makes sense so far, right? So let's say you're contributing $15,000 a year, or we'll call that in 2025 to your Roth TSP. So multiplying that by 22% in the marginal tax rate is going to be $3,300. You're not going to get billed for this or anything by the IRS, but you're essentially paying $3,300 upfront to the IRS when you make the Roth TSP contribution, because you're paying your taxes upfront, right? And if you look at it another way, you just don't have the tax savings of $125 every 2 weeks as a federal employee, or $275 a month if you're a military member. But what's awesome about the Roth TSP is that the money you put in will grow tax-free, and then you can withdraw your your contributions, earnings, and interest tax-free. So assuming you're 35 years old and starting with $15,000 a year in Roth contributions every year with a 2% annual inflation rate or inflation increase in contributions, you could grow your Roth TSP to over $1.4 million in tax-free money if the market performs an 8% average annual return. You can use the TSP calculator from my website at firesignchat.com/resources to calculate your contributions. So the bottom line is that you're paying that tax upfront to that $1.4 million. So that $1.4 million can become tax-free when you turn 59 and a half. So what can you do with $1.4 million in tax-free money? Well, keep in mind that I adjusted the Roth TSP with a 2% annual increase in inflation. Okay, so let's assume that you're retiring in the year 2025 with your federal retirement income at, let's say, $30,000 a year. Okay, and your Social Security pension at we'll call that $20,000 a year, and you have some traditional TSP with over $13,000 a year because you have your TSP employer match that went directly to the traditional portion of your TSP. So your total taxable income, we'll just call that $63,000, and your standard deduction is $15,000 under the 2025 tax bracket. And obviously the standard deduction will increase with inflation in 25 years, but I'm going to keep it simple by using the 2025 tax brackets and assuming that you're not over the age of 65, because there would be more standard deductions if you were over the age of 65. So anyway, the first $11,925, again, will be taxed at 10%. And the next $36,075 will be taxed at 12%. And most retirees would like to pay less in taxes in retirement. I haven't heard a single client or anybody in the comment section that they will love to pay more taxes when they're retired. No one. Okay. So the 12% marginal tax rate is a good target rate for someone with $60,000 a year in taxable retirement income, because every dollar after $63,475 will be taxed at 22%. So if you want to retire with $100,000 a year and pay 12% in marginal tax rate, this is where the Roth TSP comes into play. Using the same scenario with $1.4 million invested in the Roth TSP, the 2% withdrawal rate would give you $28,000 a year in tax-free money. A 3% withdrawal rate would give you $42,000 a year in tax-free money. And a 4% withdrawal rate will give you $56,000 a year in tax-free money. Did you hear tax-free? And so depending on how your portfolio is diversified and grows annually, right? So it could go to 1.4 million. Maybe you're more aggressive and gets to 1.5 million. So let's just use this scenario. You could have a 2.6% withdrawal rate from that $1.4 million Roth TSP. And if you add that up to the pensions and traditional TSP, you can have $100,000 a year paying 12% in marginal tax rate. Do you see how you pay so much less in taxes in your retirement with the Roth TSP, right? Let me give you another example. So for those of you who are married or plan to be married by the time you're retired. So let's go through this. That box looks weird, but that's all right. Let's assume that your high 3 average salary was $150,000 a year, and you want to retire with $150,000 in the year 2025 as a married couple filing your taxes jointly. Let's say you're going to collect $35,000 a year in pension income, $25,000 a year for each spouse from Social Security, and $40,000 a year from traditional TSP and your spouse's traditional 401k. your total gross income will be $125,000. And I'm going to use the standard 2025 standard deduction for married couple at $30,000. So your taxable income is going to be less than that at $95,000. So the first $23,850 will be taxed at 10%. And the next $71,150 is going to be taxed at 12%. Your total taxes as a married couple are significantly lower than single individuals. So your gross income of $125,000 will only put you at a 12% marginal tax rate. And the first dollar of $126,950 is going to be taxed at 22% for the year 2025. So you and your spouse could use your Roth TSP. I'm going to use the same example of 1.4 million to supplement the remaining $25,000 in retirement income to maintain the 12% marginal tax rate. That 1.4 million is completely tax-free after the age of 59 and a half. Just withdrawing 2% of that 1.4 million will give you $28,000 a year from the Roth TSP, and that'll give you $153,000 a year in retirement income, but still maintain that 12% marginal tax rate. A 3% withdrawal rate will give you $42,000 a year in tax-free income, or $165,000 a year in retirement income, while still maintaining that 12% marginal tax rate. How incredible would that be to live on $150,000 on a 12% marginal tax rate, right? But when is traditional TSP right for you? And I've been talking about Roth TSP for a while. It really depends. But first, you need to be able to compare your current income and your retirement income. You can go to SSA.gov to get the Social Security income estimates, because depending on your combined income in the future, you're going to have to pay income tax on up to 50 to 85% of your Social Security benefits. That could change with a new administration coming in 2025. And President-elect Trump already said that he's looking to cut Social Security benefit, the taxes on the Social Security benefits. So we'll see what happens with that. And what is your federal employee pension going to be? And are you also collecting your military pension? There are a lot of people including in the live chat, who used to serve in the military, and then now they're federal employees. They retire from the military, they get that pension, and they're looking to collect another pension with the federal government as a federal employee, right? And those are all taxable income. So you need to calculate those first. And do you have any other income sources like real estate or business? They're not as common, but they are very possible. And is your current income 30% or more in the marginal tax rates? Chances are you'll have a lower tax rate when you're in retirement, like I showed you earlier. Your expenses will most likely be lower, and you're probably going to do what you can do to lower your taxes from 32 to 24%, right? You can always split between traditional TSP and Roth TSP depending on your total tax rates. And if you're close to your retirement age and you're trying to have more take-home pay because you're trying to save more cash, traditional TSP might be right for you. You just need to be aware of the required minimum distributions when you turn 73. So if you've been saving for a while in the traditional account and you want to avoid being in a higher tax bracket because of the RMDs, making a Roth contribution may be better if you're close to 73. And I know these are all general guidelines, but ultimately you have to decide if getting a tax break now or later makes more sense. So if you're still trying to decide what's right for you, just remember that Roth will always be traditional if you still have a long time horizon until your retirement age. And if you have more assets in your traditional accounts than in Roth accounts, then putting money in Roth could be a hedge against future tax increases, right? Now, as you can probably tell, I spend a lot of time calculating my Roth contributions. And no matter how much I compare with the traditional 401k, traditional TSP, or traditional 403b, Roth has always beaten traditional because of the tax-free money in retirement and the tax-free growth. The traditional argument, no pun intended, is that if your income is going to be higher in retirement, you should contribute in Roth. My argument, on the other hand, is that I'd rather pay taxes now and avoid the uncertainty for the future and not have to worry about future tax rates. I don't want to deal with the requirement of minimum distributions or RMDs when I'm 73. I don't want to deal with my income tax rates increasing in the future because I want to pocket as much as I can for the dollars that I work hard for. Most people haven't accounted for future Medicare expenses, Social Security income and having too much in a pre-tax investment vehicle may not be necessarily helpful for retirement planning. And this is why when I'm 55, I'm going to use the rule of 55 to withdraw from my traditional account and make Roth conversions as necessary. I know this was super far in depth. So I encourage you to look over your TSP statements to make sure you're doing what's right for your financial future. I really nerded out on that Roth, didn't I? Okay. Cool. Oops. Didn't mean to select that. All right. Cool. Let me go. Oh yeah, there's one segment that I do want to go over. You know what? I'm gonna start. We already start putting the names into the computer app for the free investing course. So if you haven't had a chance to put free course in the live chat, I will announce the winner at the end of the live chat. So let me know in the comment section down below uh, if you served in the past and all that. So let's see. Yeah. And this is also being live streamed to the private group too. So if you do want to join my private community, there's a TSP private community in there. Really exciting. I do kind of nerd out in there. You can go to firesuchet.com/community, and that is a paid membership. I thought about doing it free. I tried that in the past, and I got a ton of a lot of scams. So I decided against it, and it's not expensive at all. It's just like a pay membership to be a part of the community. If you're actively investing in a TSP, that's really going to be helpful for you for any new information that may come about. Yeah, so there's one segment that I do want to go over that may not apply to everybody, but this part is going to apply for both federal employees and military, but it's brand new for the military. Okay, so starting in March 2025, the healthcare flexible spending account, or healthcare FSA, is going to be available for the very first time to all active duty military members, including AGRs or active guard reserve on Title 10 orders. And this is all a part of the DoD initiative called Taking Care of Our Own People, or Taking Care of Our People initiative, and one of several DoD actions to improve the quality of life for service members and their families. And I'm really glad that this is happening, because I said in a video a few years ago that TRICARE alone is not enough for medical expenses, especially for their dependents. And this is nothing new for federal employees, but this is really huge for military members who are looking to save more money on the over-the-counter prescription medications, dental expenses, and vision expenses, especially with everything that happened with inflation over the last few years. So please don't confuse this with an HSA or health savings account, because it's not the same thing. This is a healthcare FSA used in addition to your TRICARE coverage, because TRICARE is not a high deductible health plan. And again, this is not only this is only for people serving on active duty or active guard reserve under Title 10 orders. It is not for military retirees. And this is already applying to the federal employees. And an FSA is a spending account that helps employees cover healthcare costs that are not included in their insurance plans. But wait, you probably think that TRICARE covers you. So why should you worry about the out-of-pocket medical costs? And why is healthcare FSA even necessary? So what FSA will cover is when you and your family go outside of the TRICARE coverage, like for over-the-counter medications, additional dental expenses, like braces, right? They're expensive. And what out-of-pocket vision expenses? Do you ever go to the BX or PX, the commissary, to get some aspirin or some type of flu medicine? Well, instead of using your checking account, you can now pay for it with the FSA. So, for example, I pay about $250 for my contact lenses out of pocket every year. If I use the healthcare FSA, which is funded through salary deferrals in pre-tax dollars, and if my marginal tax rate is at 24%, I end up saving $60 for those contact lenses, because I get to pay for my contact lenses in pre-tax dollars. That makes sense so far, right? And I'll get into the approved FSA expenses later on in this video. So in the year 2025, you can fund your FSA in pre-tax dollars for up to $3,300. But keep in mind that there is a maximum carryover limit of $660. So you have to be very careful with how much you put into the FSA, because if you go over that limit, it goes back to your employer. And I don't know about you, but I don't like giving my money to my employer. And if you think your out-of-pocket expenses will be high for you and your family, you'll be able to contribute up to $275 a month, which will be deducted from your LES. You just don't want to have more than $660 by December 31st. And I haven't seen an official statement from the DoD about how military members can enroll in this program. But according to Military One source, the DoD is going to announce that special enrollment period in January. But right now, it is scheduled to be released for March 3rd to 31st in 2025. Whether they're going to use FSA feds for the military FSA program is still unknown. But since they already use FSA feds for the dependent care FSA, I wouldn't be surprised if they just use the same system for the healthcare FSA. I just have not seen the official DoD document for it. And you can stay informed about the FSA and TSP by joining my private group at firestation.com/community. And if you want to read more about how healthcare FSA works, just visit fsa.gov for more information. And just to summarize what you can spend, you know what? Did I pull that up? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, cool. And just to summarize what you can spend with your FSA, you can pay for your braces for your kids or contact lenses for yourself. If you need to go to the BX or PX to purchase over-the-counter medicine like bandages, first aid kits, pregnancy test kits, or aspirin, you can use the FSA to pay for them instead of using your personal debit card or credit card, and you can instantly get the tax discount that you put your money in. And what you want to do is to make sure that you save the receipts you spend on qualified FSA medical expenses. So if you spend $10 for contact lenses solutions, use your phone to scan the receipt and then submit it to your online account to get reimbursed. And again, you want to make sure that it is on the eligible expenses list, the one that I'm showing you right now, before making that purchase. You can get reimbursed via direct deposit or by check, but using direct deposit is much easier. And they're going to send you an email that it's been processed, and then it gets reimbursed to your account within a few days. And I've been using the dependent care FSA for quite a while, so I understand that process. And as soon as the enrollment period opens, you're going to need to open an account with what's called login.gov. So at the top right corner, you're going to see sign in with login.gov. They're going to require you to use the Authenticator app. So be sure to download that app when you sign up for the FSA account. And how much you can save on taxes will depend on your combined income and where you reside. You're going to end up saving both federal and state income taxes with the salary deferrals, like the chart that I'm showing you right now. And the vast majority of the members of the armed forces fall under the 10 to 24% marginal tax rates based on their salary, unless you're a 3-star or 4-star general watching this video. At a 12% marginal tax rate, you could save up to $396 a year if you use the maximum FSA contribution limit. And if you're in the 24% marginal tax rate, you could save up to $792 in total federal income tax. And you can save even more if your state requires you to pay state income tax, right? So if you don't have any medical expenses right now, it's actually not a bad idea to open up a healthcare FSA now, because you could contribute up to $55 a month or $660 in 2025, and you don't spend any of that money, you can still carry that over. So you can save money on taxes and have money to spend on your future medical, dental, or vision expenses in 2026 if you want to. And if you think you're going to consistently need something like, for me, contact lenses, not for me, but birth control, dental braces for your kids, emergency medical kits for your household, prescription eyeglasses for your dependents, or any other over-the-counter products for the treatment of the medical condition, having an FSA could save you some costs. And I'm glad the DoD is finally doing this, because I know how inflation has really driven up some medical costs, take some time to visit fsafeds.gov to get to know the healthcare FSA before it becomes available in March 2025. And if you got value out of this, don't forget to check out firestation.com/resources for free financial calculators. Okay. Oh, you guys want to see, let me see how the TSP has performed so far in 2025. You guys ready for this? Oh, look at CFUN, top left corner here. Let me go ahead and zoom in so you guys can see this, okay? Look at the CFUN, 26% return in the year 2025. That's from January 1st until, when am I recording this? This is November 8th. 26.62% return. That is incredible. And then the S fund is another great one. It just hit 20% yesterday. So, and the iFund just hit 9%. iFund has been kind of ranging between 8% and 12%. I think the highest price I saw was 12%. But C fund, S fund, if you have all of your money in C fund, congratulations, you made some really good money this year and last year. If you stayed in the market and never pull your money out from the 2022 bear market year when the S&P 500 went down by 18%, you're winning right now because you bought all your C funds, S funds, or whatever target date retirement funds at an 18% discount or 20% discount, right? So last year was a great year for the stock market, and this year was a great year for the stock market. Now that the election is over, we'll see what happens for the next 4 years, right? I'm actually really glad that the election is over because, man, I cannot stand those text messages that I would get constantly about asking me who I'm voting for or what I'm doing. I'm like, man, it's none of your business. And I already voted, but and I'm in Nevada, so it was one of the battleground states, and it turned out they didn't even need Nevada to decide. So hey, it's it was really I loved election night because I said this to my buddies the other day. I'm like watching the election, go how election goes is it's like watching a fantasy football app, and the slider bar, it goes like the probability of winning 56 to 44%, that kind of thing. It just keeps sliding back and forth. So it was kind of entertaining to watch. Well, for election anyway. But yeah, anyway, I'm not going to talk politics that much. But if you missed my live stream yesterday, I talked in depth about what's going to happen with the labor market, and we got I'm pretty sure tariffs is going to be one of the items that the president-elect Trump is going to do as soon as he's gets sworn into office, which is January 20th. And so 20th or 21st, yeah, it's one of those dates. But anyway, yeah, if you got C fund, hey, great job. If you did CNS funds, you did great. CS and I funds, that's still great. It just depends on how you diversified and how you like split your funds in between. And the question is like, if you guys follow any social media like Reddit, they have the subreddit TSP. The common question I see in there is like, should I do C fund 100%? Should I do CNS fund, or should I do CS and I funds? What you need to understand when you invest in the TSP, when you log into your website, right, is when you see, I'm going to give an example. If you put 80, 10, 10, 80% C, 10% I, 10% S, what that means is that you're putting your money to work, and 80% of that is working in the C fund, and 10% of that is working in I fund, and 10% of that is working in S fund. And it's very important for you, all of you watching this, to pay attention to what the TSP is doing. I don't want you to be glued to this. I mean, you can get this for free at firestation.com/resources. You can go there and you can get this up. This is automatic update every day because TSP does such a terrible job at it. But you need to know what each fund is doing. The best way to do it is probably checking it once a month if you want to. Some people do it once a week. Let me know in the live chat how often you do it. there's like a Warren Buffett strategy. He's always like a 90% S&P 500 and 10% bonds. So in this case, it will be 90% C fund and 10% G fund. Is there ever a 100% correct answer on how you should diversify your TSP? No, but you should know what you're exposed to. If you put all 100% in G and F funds, then I would probably say your money is not going to grow as much because my money was stuck in the G and F funds for not F funds, but it was stuck in G fund for 8 years before I realized that I had a TSP, and then before I realized that I had any money in there that was barely growing 2% average annual return. So I hope there's no one still having their never logged into the TSP or something like that. Log in there, log into your TSP today and find out how much of your money is allocated to C, S, I, G, or F funds, and if you're in target date retirement funds. Now, just real quick, I do want to mention this, and I know some people have said, well, why don't I just mix, target date retirement funds 2055 with you know, uh, 50% C funds? Well, okay, so what is your target, right? Because if you look at what 2050 target date fund has, it has all the funds. It has CSI, G, and F funds, right? And it could be, I don't know, on top of my head, it's like 80%. You know what? I'm just gonna pull it up. I don't want to talk out of my butt here. I'm just gonna pull it up. TSP target date funds, life cycle 2050. Okay, so take a look at this. Okay, at 2050 funds, when you put money in there, it's already allocated to 11% G fund, 7% F fund, 42% C fund, 10% S fund, and 28% I fund. And you want to put 50% of your money in this, but 50% of your money in the C fund. Now your allocation is it doesn't have a clear goal, if that makes sense. So because target date retirement fund is basically it's meant for people who don't have a good understanding of it, who they're beginners. They don't know how the allocation works. They just typically you put all your money into that target date fund because TSP is assuming that you're going to retire around the year 2050, and that portfolio just de-risks itself every single year. They put more money into the G fund every year, right? Every year it goes by. But when you mix those two together, now you don't have a clear goal of what are you trying to do with your money? Are you trying to be more risky? Well, in that case, why don't you just invest in individual funds instead, right? Not by any means, not financial advice, but it's something that you should really consider is what am I doing with this target date fund and what am I doing with the C fund? I have seen people say that, I think it was on Reddit. They said, hey, I have money in, I have like 20% in 2050, 20% in 2060. And it's just, super diversified, but he had no idea why his money was only making like a 6% return when everybody else was making like 20% return, right? So you need to understand how these work before you do, you don't want to over diversify is what I'm trying to say. So just keep that in mind. Okay. But yeah, I mean, if you, man, like I said, if you got, if you invested all 100% C fund this year, congratulations, you made some significant money. I wouldn't be surprised if it hits 30% by the end of December. And we still got what? This is November 8th. So we still got like less than 2 months to go. And election's over. We have another Federal Reserve meeting on December 18th. And, if the labor market starts to get weaker, then, we'll see how it goes. But there's a tremendous upside going into 2025 as far as the stock market goes. And you know what? Did the Republicans take the House too? Do you guys know? Election results. Oh, we don't know yet. Okay. Oh man, they're still counting. All right. I mean, it looks like they're going to take the House too. I mean, they took the Senate by 3 seats, and then they still have a few more that they're counting. But yeah, this is like a what they call a red sweep in the election. Is took the White House, took the Senate, and then looks like they're gonna take the House too. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be, if that's the case, this is going to be a very easy presidency for Trump because he can just kind of like, let's pass this. He signs it. All right, good to go. And he also has a conservative majority in the Supreme Court. So, okay, let me look into it here. If you guys have any questions in the live chat, just let me know. Uh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm guessing you're there are a lot of the federal employees in the DC area. And the one thing I do notice that I have clients in the DC area is man, the tax rates are pretty high. So it's pretty common for like, let's say GS 13, 14, 15 senior executive levels to kind of like split the traditional and Roth in between. So, 23,500 and then you're kind of in the area of, man, the tax rate's a little high, but then I don't want to miss out on Roth. So make sure to, contribute to your Roth IRA, you know, every single year. Don't miss that out. That's another common misconception is that Roth IRA is the same as the TSP. No, those are two different accounts that you can do. Okay. The other argument that I heard was treat your pension like a G fund and put the rest into the CS and I funds. That's a good concept to have, but then it really depends on how much your pension is going to be, right? Not everybody's going to retire as a GS-15. Not everybody's going to retire as a colonel or a master chief or chief master, in the Air Force. So it really depends on what that pension is going to be, because depending on where you're going to retire to, that pension alone might not be enough, and you might need extra cash to make to preserve your capital or save your cash. I mean, that's just something that you want to look into. But yeah, that's just watch your tax rates as much as you can. And, if you feel like, man, the taxes are just going to keep going up in the future, and I have 40 years to go, I mean, Roth is never, it's not a bad option, especially for you guys under the 24% marginal tax rate. Definitely worth looking into. You can. A good question. Should I combine my military and civilian TSP? You can. So I'm assuming that you have already separated from the military. And because you have to wait like 60 days after your separation to move your TSP from TSP to 401k, or you can combine it with the current civilian one. You can, but just keep in mind that combining your TSP, it doesn't mean that they're going to grow faster. It's still a compounding growth. Okay, so you having the two separate accounts, you're still going to grow at the same rate, assuming that you have the same allocation. So, but if you have one account, let's say military TSP, you put all of that in the G fund, and then civilian account, you put all of that in C fund. Obviously, that they're going to perform differently. But if you have military TSP, all 100% in C fund, and you have a civilian TSP, all 100% in C fund, they're going to grow at the same rate. Okay, so combining them, separating them doesn't make a difference. But there is one thing that I do want you to keep in mind is that the rule of 55. So let's say you are, I don't know your age, but if you are going to turn 55 years old and you're looking to retire by 55 or 57, under the MRA, right? If you're looking to reduce your retirement age and start taking money out from your pension early, then you want to move your military TSP to a civilian TSP, because as of right now, let me see if I got that visual aid for you. Let me see. I should. There we go. Okay, I do have the visual aid, so I don't want to just talk. Okay, so is that works? Oh, well, that's the TSP to IRA. It's not exactly the same thing, but you know what? Let me just hide that real quick. So if you move your civilian TSP, I'm sorry, military TSP to civilian TSP, then you can access that money from the military TSP inside the civilian TSP if you quit your job starting at the age of 55. Okay. But if you leave your money in the military TSP and you don't move it at all, you cannot touch that money until you're 59 and a half. So if you do want to have early access to that, and that's what I did when I left the military, I rolled that over to my 401k. I still have some in my TSP right now, and I have my no, I'm sorry, not TSP. I rolled over my 401k to my solo 401k, understanding that rule of 55. So just keep that in mind, is that if you want that money, if you want to access that money at age 55, then roll that over to your civilian TSP. But if you don't think that you're going to retire from the civilian job as a federal employee, then maybe you wait it out and see what happens. So, good question, man. Speaking of the TSP to IRA rollover, let me go over that real quick. Actually, you know what? No, let me go over Roth IRA just real quick, because, man, this is one thing that I don't want people to mess up. So if you want to contribute to the Roth IRA, but you're just barely under the Roth IRA income limits as a single individual, let's say $150,000 would be the single, and then $236,000 for the married couples. That's the modified adjusted gross income. So your adjusted gross income is your gross earnings minus your above the line deductions, right? And the HSA and 401k contributions can be deducted from the gross earnings to lower AGI. So what happens is, what you can do is, let's say your income, let me see if I can pull up a different notes. Okay. Let's say your income, you're single. I'm going to choose single. Okay. Let's say your modified adjusted gross income, zoom in, enhance. You're going to be at 160,000, and that's going to be above the Roth IRA income limits. So you cannot contribute directly to the Roth IRA if you're making 160,000. Well, 160 will be the phase out range, so it will be 165. Actually, you know what? Let me do a different example. I'm going to do, let's say that would be 170. Roth IRA. Okay. I type really fast. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Let me double check here. Okay, so let's do this. All right, so if you do 160, 170, $170,000, okay, and you are a single individual, unmarried, no kids. So, but you want to contribute to a Roth IRA. So here's the method number one. You can contribute to the traditional TSP to lower your adjustable gross income. So if you want to contribute all 23,000 into it, right? So if you do 170 minus 23, it would be 147,000. So you're going to be under the Roth IRA income limit. So remember that Roth IRA phase out range is going to start at 156. Come on, man. 150 to 165. Okay. So if you lower your income to 150, then you can directly contribute to the Roth IRA at $7,000. And that's going to be the same contribution limit for 2025. There's a downside of doing that, because now you're putting your money into the traditional portion. If your goal is to put money into the to Roth, right? For your marginal tax rate, if you look at it here, 2025 marginal tax rates. So 2025. 170,000, you're still going to be in a 24% marginal tax rate. So you're not hitting that 32% as a single individual. So that could be kind of like, should I put money into the traditional TSP so that I can directly contribute to the Roth IRA? The other option that you can do is the backdoor Roth IRA, and it's not it's not as easy as you think it is, but if you understand how it works, it becomes easier for you, year by year. I don't know about you, but I know. So bear with me here, okay? So if you contribute, if your income is over $146,000, or let's just call it 160,000, right? Then you can do what's called non-deductible contribution from your checking account to your traditional IRA. So when you move money from traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, that is also a non-deductible contribution. So you're doing what's called an after tax, and then you're doing an after tax. So because the money that you put into the traditional IRA is greater than 89,000, so that becomes non-deductible contribution, right? So when you put that money in there, you can just transfer it to the Roth IRA. So it becomes a non-taxable conversion, okay? So 7,000 for if you're under the age of 50, or $8,000 over the age of 50. And you should also get the IRS Form 8606 that indicates that you have contributed you converted from traditional IRA to Roth IRA, but in after tax dollars. You have to state that because the government is not supposed to tax you twice on your retirement, and then you can invest in it. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Is this after tax to after tax contribution? If you have any balance in your traditional IRA, like any pre-tax balance in there, because you roll over your old 401k into your traditional IRA, then I do not recommend doing the backdoor Roth IRA because you're going to end up paying tax on the conversion that is called pro rata rule. So you're going to end up paying tax on let's say you convert 7,000 in there, but you have an existing $10,000 in your pre-tax money, and that 7,000 is after tax, but 10,000 is in pre-tax. So they call that pro rata, okay, for the 7,000 and 10,000. So if you look at the ratio, 7,000 plus $10,000, okay, so that's a total of 17,000, right? So let me go to the spread new sheet here. So if you have, move my keyboard, $7,000 that you're trying to put it in after tax, and you want to you have a existing $10,000 in pre-tax. So if you look at the rate, you have a total of $17,000. Okay, that is the total. But what you want to figure out is what is the 7,000 divided by 17,000. So you have 41% of your traditional IRA in after-tax money, and then you have 59% of your traditional IRA in pre-tax money. So this is taxable, okay? Taxable. And this is not taxable. So when you want to move this $7,000 into the Roth IRA, well, the IRS says, well, wait a minute, you have $10,000 in your pre-tax money in your traditional IRA too. Are you going to convert them all? And you're like, oh, I don't want to pay the tax on the $10,000. I want to leave some of that in there. Well, then the IRS says, well, too bad. You're going to have to pay a portion of it because you have an existing balance in there. So the pro rata rule is triggered. Now that's $7,000. Okay. Remember the 41% that I talked about? So you do it times 41%. It's $2,870. It's becoming taxable income. Now, if you do 7,000 minus $2,870, solve it for me. There you go. Apple Intelligence, baby. And at $4,130 is taxable income here. Okay, so now this is taxable, and this is not taxable. I hope that makes sense. So when you make that conversion, this becomes taxable and this becomes non-taxable. So when you move 7,000 into the Roth IRA, $4,130 of that will become taxable income, and $2,870 out of that 7,000 is not taxable. So if you're at a 24% marginal tax rate, you're going to end up owing $991 in federal income tax. That's just a federal income tax for making a backdoor Roth IRA conversion with an existing traditional IRA balance in pre-tax dollars. So I hope that clears it up. And that's one of the most common mistakes that I have seen. And I don't know how much you guys read your own tax statements or anything like that. Then I look at it and I was like, man, do you realize how much taxes you're paying because you have a balance in your traditional IRA? Now, one last thing I want to mention. The other question I had was, well, what if I put my traditional IRA in Vanguard, but I have $10,000 in traditional IRA with Vanguard, but I have $0 with Schwab in traditional IRA. Doesn't that mean that I don't get get hit by the pro rata rule? It doesn't matter. The IRS will say, how much money do you have in your traditional IRA across the board? Okay. So you can't get away with it. So what is the solution to that? The solution is if you have $10,000 in your traditional IRA and your income limit is above the Roth IRA, and you're like, man, I need to do this back to Roth IRA. Well, simple. 10,000 in your TIRA, move it back to traditional TSP. You can do that at any time. You can be an active participant right now, and you can move money from any accounts to the TSP. You just can't move money out of the TSP to another plan while you're still actively employed. So if you want to eliminate the pro rata rule, just move that back to the traditional TSP, or you can always make a tax conversion and pay taxes now. It's up to you. I'm not telling you what to do, but if you don't want to pay the taxes now, because the chances of you doing the chances are you're already at the 24% marginal tax rate. So you want to, you probably don't want to pay that $991.20 in tax for making that $7,000 conversion, right? So, you have options here. Move it back to the traditional TSP or make the conversion and pay the taxes in full. It's up to you. But I hope that answered some of your questions about the IRA. That question was submitted in advance from the private community. So if you are interested in joining my private community, join me at firesuchet.com/community. 100%. They are very good at their jobs. Do not underestimate them. There's a YouTuber I met earlier this year. She's an IRS agent. It's interesting. She has a YouTube channel, but she gives out really, really good information. And I talked to her in Vegas. We went to one of the conferences, and I met her. And I was like, hey, how much scrutiny do you get as an IRS agent? Do people give you like weird looks? She's like, just look at a crowd now. I told everybody I'm an IRS agent and nobody wants to talk to me anymore. I'm like, man, it's a conference full of business owners, right? And that's one thing we have to deal with is taxes. I got to pay my quarterly tax make my quarterly tax payments. And I got to make my annual tax payments on the Social Security, FICA, self-employment tax and all that. It's a pain in the butt. And it's so funny, like a conference full of business owners found out that she's an IRS agent. They're like, well, let's not talk to her anymore. Like, man, I was talking to her all night. I was like, man, let's talk about finances. I had a great time. That was the Think Media conference that I went to. And that's when I met Dave Ramsey too. He was actually one of the speakers. And I actually went to Nashville 2 years ago. I went to the Dave Ramsey studio. I thought their studio is really good. And, just kind of like, they have done a tremendous job. And you can disagree with Dave Ramsey. There are a lot of things that I don't agree with him. I'm a credit card guy. I love credit cards. I'll keep using them. I'll never put a balance on my credit card. If you put a balance on your credit card, you shouldn't use that credit card anymore. Then you need to go to Dave Ramsey and they'll show you how to pay down your debt as soon as you can. I know what they preach is 15% of your gross income towards retirement. I'm more like 25%, but then I'm doing this financial independence retire early strategy. 25%, 30% makes sense, 25%, and then the other portion going into taxable investment. Everybody's different, right? But I think it's a good starting point. Dave Ramsey has a lot of good materials. And when I listened to him speak, I was like, man, he's a phenomenal speaker. That was all just business owners. It probably had nothing to do with finances. I got a picture with him, pretty cool. But yeah, I thought that I felt bad for that IRS agent though. It was probably me and a few other people talking to it, but everybody else just kind of avoided it. I thought they were joking, but they were being serious. Like they're like, man, I don't want anything to do with the IRS. I'm like, wow, bad experience, I see. Anyway, okay. Let me see, just to hang out with you guys. I'm gonna send this to the private group. Let me see. Can I change that? Okay, maybe I can't make the changes. There we go. Hey, I'm gonna see if I can. How do I post this? You can follow me on Instagram if you want to. I'm gonna put this on the story, and then you can just kind of make a. You can download it if you want to. This is kind of like the basic chart of how it looks. The slide kind of makes it looks weird, but this is how it's supposed to look. I know there are some people in the military who are still under the legacy retirement system, and then there's the blended retirement system and how this works and the catch-up limit, employment limit, and all that stuff. And I'll post it, and then obviously if you're a private group member, you can join that too. This is the federal employee part. The first pension, the calculation, there's going to be more in depth coming out, but this is kind of like the general glance of how it works. There's Roth TSP, traditional TSP, employer match. Let me know in the comment section or in the live chat if you're currently serving in the military, active duty, guard, or reserve. There is a tax exempt combat zone TSP that's only for the military members. I did that when I was deployed. Man, that was probably saved a lot of money from doing that. A lot of taxes too. So let me know in the live chat if you are one of them. And if you haven't heard me say it yet, we are doing a fundraiser for the USO. And right now it looks like we're still raising a little bit of money. And it's up to you if you want to. If you want to donate, and every dollar going into this live stream is going to be going straight to the USO. I do not make money out of this live stream at all. So if a YouTube ad pop up, you can skip it. I understand. If you want to watch it, hey, those dollars will go to the USO for the fundraiser. So I appreciate you guys being here. Hey, there you go. What branch are you? Nosy Posy, active duty member. So there's one thing that I don't know. I don't want to, maybe don't spend too much time on it. Let me see. Okay. Let me see. I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's Combat Zone TSP. Hey, Coast Guard. All right. That's awesome, man. Appreciate you being here. Let me see if I want to talk about the comment. No, I'll put that in the private group for the Combat Zone TSP. I think this is too specific, and I'll make a video about it in the future. But let me go through the question here. When do I make changes to my TSP to take effect on January 1st? Well, depends. Are you a federal employee or a military member? Because military members, they make their contributions once a month. Okay, TSP contributions once a month, and then there's the federal employees, it's biweekly. So if you're on a federal employee pay schedule biweekly, I believe your first paycheck out of 2025 is January 5th. Is that a Friday? January 5th is no, that's a Sunday. So it could be January 3rd. So if your first paycheck is going to be on January 3rd, then I would make the change as soon as your pay stub gets released. For the final pay stub gets released. So I would say probably like around December 20th is always a good date to change it. And you know, if you're a federal employee, I would just change it probably around December 20th or 21st, because I want to make sure that you get paid. Like, if I don't know what your pay schedule is, I think you should get paid on the 20th. If your paycheck is going to come out on the 3rd, then you want to make the changes on the first day you get paid, I believe, on the 20th, December 20th, that is. But if your pay schedule is going to be on January 10th, then your last paycheck of December 2024 is going to be on December 27th. Then you want to make the changes on probably around I would say the 23rd, because your final pay stub gets issued around the 20th or the 23rd, because those guys want to go home and they don't want to do that. So your pay periods are going to be 26. So 26 pay periods. 26 pay periods per calendar year, not per paycheck year. So yeah, take a look at your pay stub and see when you're supposed to do that. But yeah. Okay, I know some people mentioned pay period 25. One thing I learned probably within the last couple of years is that if you're working in the post office or some federal sector, I didn't realize that some pay schedule is completely different from other federal employees. So I don't want to generalize and say, hey, everybody do it on the pay period 25, and and ends up being wrong. But like I said, just go into your pay stub and then see what it says on there. Okay. Good question though. And I want to make sure I didn't miss any questions, because I know there's quite a few of them. Air traffic controller. Awesome, man. Cool. Safe to one to. Okay. Sorry, I missed this question. If a person is beyond 59 and a half and hasn't retired, can they start using the retirement account? Is it safe to roll it into another account like a Roth IRA? So this is a very generalized question. I don't know your entire financial situation. If you haven't retired, you need to contact your employer sponsor account to basically say, you should be able to use your retirement money after you hit a certain age at 59 and a half. But the TSP, I'm guessing you're here for the TSP. I need to remember that this is about the TSP. So let me pull up the information here. Good question. Okay. No issues with YouTube. All right, cool. Still good. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, let me read your question just one more time. Maybe I'm just too analytical and too literal. If a person is beyond 59 and a half and hasn't retired, can they start using a retirement account? Yes, you can. So you can. Let me answer that part first. And I just read it too fast. So if you're 59 and a half, you can make withdrawals from your TSP while you're still employed. Okay. But you have to pay your income tax on the taxable portion, obviously, for your traditional TSP. I don't know if you have a traditional TSP or Roth TSP, but if you have Roth TSP, then you have both. If you have Roth, it should be tax-free. Let me read your second question. Is it safe to roll it into another account like a Roth IRA? there's no reason for you to roll it into a Roth IRA from your Roth IRA to Roth. Roth TSP to Roth IRA. It just kind of depends on like, do you need that money now, and do you want to, because TSP has very limited investment options. But if you're looking at kind of like, hey, can I move it to IRA? I believe you're still going to have to be separated from the federal service to do that. But you don't want to overcomplicate your plan. If you have a TSP that's working out good for you, I mean, why not just keep doing that, right? Let me pull up the PDF because I'm going to show this to you real quick. And so I'm going to type in the website that you can look at it, because this is a very specific question here. So here, let me do this, okay? There we go. Okay, so let me make sure this is still good. This is a 20-page PDF about the TSP withdrawal. This is hardship withdrawal and age 59.5. And if you go down here, before you make an in-service withdrawal, it's going to tell you all the rules about hardship withdrawal. I never recommend doing that unless you're about to, like a true emergency. But if you look at the how to apply for an age 59.5 withdrawal here. So here's the, I'm going to have to scroll down. I thought it would be hyperlinked. Sorry. Let's see. There we go. So age 59.5 withdrawals. It tells you all the information in here. You must be at least 59.5, and I imagine that you already are. And let me read that question. Okay. And so, and then you can make it to 4 age 59.5 withdrawals per calendar year. So there are some restrictions on this. Okay, so I'm gonna type this in the chat. And hold on 1 second here. Can I? Nope, I can't. There we go. So if you do https.gov publications TSP, try that. See if this hyperlink works. I hope it does. No, it doesn't. Darn it. Wow. Okay, so Google search this, okay? TSP withdrawal while employed in Google. And it's going to be the first link that says withdrawals in service, and it has all the information that you need that's going to be in there. So take a look at that, because I don't know your entire situation, but that's going to answer a lot of your questions on how frequently you can withdraw from the TSP while you're 59.5. And just for the crowd watching this, look at your the rules first, and make sure that you know what is vested. Okay, that's really the key too. Some people have joined the federal government. Let's say they start working at the federal government at age 50. Okay, and they need to, and they want to start withdrawing at 59.5. Well, let's just say 55. You need to know how much of your money in your TSP is actually vested. So that would be the agency / service automatic 1% contribution. And it's going to tell you all that. And then when you log into the TSP website, it's going to show you how much of your money is vested. Okay. When you go into the contribution detail, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, go to the contribution detail. It's going to show you how much of your money in an employer match, and it's going to be in the traditional portion, is actually vested. Okay. So take a look at that. Let's see. I want to make sure there's nothing. Yeah. Yeah, and you can be specific too. Like, hey, I only want to withdraw from traditional, or I only want to withdraw from Roth. you can do either one of those too. But while you're still employed, you can make up to 4 age 59.5 withdrawals per calendar year, not per fiscal year, per calendar year. Okay. So hopefully I answered that question for you. I'm not sure if you're still in the live stream, but I just want to make sure. Maybe it's good information for you guys. Oh, and also to answer your second question, you may be able to roll over all or part of your age 59 withdrawal to a traditional IRA if you want to. So if you have if you want to roll over, you're like, let's say I want to withdraw $10,000 every quarter, but instead of doing that, you can say I want to do in-service withdrawals. TSP is going to designate that $1,000 as a age 59.5 qualified withdrawal. That's what it's going to say on there. And then you're like, nah, well, instead of pulling out of the Roth TSP, I'm going to make that a rollover to the Roth IRA so that you can have more investment options too. But that's, you need to know what you're doing there. But remember, the rollover does not add up to your contribution limit for that year. So if you're like 58 and you're trying to max out your Roth IRA right now, that's $8,000. And at any rollover that you make, it doesn't count towards your contribution limit. Okay. That's the same thing with the conversion. If you do any conversion from traditional TSP or traditional IRA to traditional to Roth IRA, that doesn't count towards the contribution limit for that year. Yep. So read through this TSP booklet. This is just about the withdrawal rules. It's really, really, really good information. But yeah, I just happen to be the guy doing the videos. Anyway, let me make sure I answer all the questions. Trump. Yeah, happy Veterans Day, guys. Happy Veterans Day weekend. Man, when I was E4, E5 enlisted, man, I was like, I'm ready to go get some free food. So, okay, let me see. Oh, yeah. VA benefits are out. So if you are collecting VA disability, the new rates are out. So check it out for the 2025 pay chart. Again, VA disability is non-taxable income, but it looks like the increase was about 2.6%, I believe. It's in line with Social Security benefits. Same thing with the military pension and federal employee pension. They're all going to get the same raise at 2.6%. I mean, is it 2.6 or 2.7? Social Security. Okay. 2.5%. I'm sorry, not 2.6. It's 2.5% in 2025. It doesn't, somebody else asked, is there a pay chart for federal employees? I don't think they usually come out until the last minute, until like December. Let me know in the comment section down below if I'm wrong about that, but I don't think there is one yet. That would be the GS pay chart, 2025. They have an estimate. I mean, you can like, minus the locality rate, right? Depending on where you live, you can probably have a good idea of how much your employee raise is going to be. I don't know what the military pay raise is going to be. Did we see that yet? Military pay raise 2025. Okay, so National Defense Authorization Act, so NDAA, is projected to be 4.5% for the military members. Man, I'm looking at the pay chart for 2024, and I'm like, man, if I had come in now, I would be making so much more, but then inflation, right? I'll never forget this. My very first paycheck in basic training when I was still at Lackland, my paycheck was $196. No, it was like $296. I'm like, this is all I'm going to get. And then I looked at it and it was like clothing allowance deduction. I was like, oh, this is bogus. It took all my money, And I was when I got to my first base at in Spokane, Fairchild in Washington State, I was living in the dorms or the barracks, for you Army and Marine guys. Sorry, we should say we stay at the hotels. But I didn't collect any BAH or BAS because there was a dining facility just down the block, and living in the dormitory slash barracks. My paycheck was just the basic pay. I'm really wondering what was the basic pay military 2005, 2004. Shoot. Let's see. Ooh, they have it. My E1 pay. You guys ready for this? My monthly pay. My paycheck was $552 before taxes. That's crazy. Man, I'm just kind of reminiscing on how much money I did not get paid for a lot of crap that we all had to deal with. Veterans, you guys know what I'm talking about. So, man, yeah, my BAS, I didn't even have a BAS until I was like 4 years in the military. When I hit E4, that was when they allowed us to move out of the dorms to get your own apartment. I had like 4 roommates, and just trying to save as much money as I could. So that was some good times. Dang. Could you imagine? What's that? 1104 a month times 12. So my income was $13,248. Man, how did I live? Oh, I guess free food, free housing, no utilities, no excuses, I guess. Still spend money like an idiot though. Had a car payment, and then I traded in. I got a truck payment because I thought I was going to impress somebody. If I could go back in time and tell myself something when I was 20 or 19, I would have been like, stop getting that car payment. Start investing. But anyway, just for entertainment. Yeah. But okay. So let's see. I think I answered most of the questions. If I missed anything, please let me know. But I think that's pretty much it. And I'm gonna leave this live stream up, and I'm gonna have all the timestamps at the bottom. Thank you for donating. Thank you so much for being here. And you being here, that money is already gonna be going directly to the USO. And for Veterans Day weekend, I plan to do this every year. I try. It won't be on Memorial Day. That's a different day. So, Memorial Day more for we remember the fallen. Veterans Day, we remember all who have served in the past and serve currently. So, yeah. Appreciate you guys. Oh, you're from Spokane. Hey, there you go. Spokanistan, right? Used to hang out in Gonzaga probably all the time. That was a really good time, but that was like in the early mid 2000s, 2005, 2006. I was barely home though because we were deployed constantly. So, but yeah, it was just kind of like, man, that was my 20s. Basketball tournament. I'm sure they still have that right there. But oh crap, I can't leave. Free investing course. Good lord. I forgot to somebody just reminded me in my headphones like, hey, course. Sorry. All right, I'll do that now. Oh, you guys already have the name in there. Okay. Okay. Okay, running the app, see who's gonna win. And then whoever wins, send me an email at hello@firesidechat.com. Hello@firesidechat.com. And with your email, your name, and then all we have to do is just enroll, just give you access to that course. And I would love some feedback from you and just let me know what you thought of it. Okay. Yeah. It's like over 50 people put their money, their names in the hat. Yeah. Okay, names out. It is Sandy Turner. Sandy Turner. Sandy Turner. I hope you're still in the live stream. It's okay if you're not. Hopefully, get to see this. But let me see if I can find you in the live chat. Sandy Turner. Sandi is what it says on there. Hey, there you go. I hope you're still around, Sandy Turner. But you won the free course. So and it's a lifetime course too. And learn about investing and learn about financial independence strategy. So if you are, hopefully you get to watch this later on if you are not in the live stream anymore. But you are the winner of this week's live stream for the investing course. That's awesome. And again, email me at hello@firesidechat.com. Okay, Sandy? Yeah, 100%. Talk to my kid. I talked to my daughter about finances and investments. I really like her math class. She's in 7th grade and they're going over credit cards, like what the interest rates are in 7th grade. I'm like, let's go, public school system. Hey, something is working, right? And she's learning about that. She's learning about compound interest. I'm like, oh, this is awesome, at 7th grade. I don't know how much she's going to obtain it from school, but over the summer, she always uses her own debit card to make purchases, and she understands taxes. She doesn't like taxes, which is hilarious for sales tax. So yeah, but no, she's learning about money, and she understands that I do finances, and so she's like, yeah, I know. You talk to me all kinds of stuff about finances. Um, but yeah, we always want them to do better than us, right? Mm. So I don't like TSP loans, but not because it. So I took out a TSP loan back in 2013 when I went through my divorce. I was an E5 in the military back then, and went through a divorce, and it was I just didn't have enough cash to cover the legal costs and all that. Thinking back, could I have done something different to borrow that to pay for my attorney back then? Yes, absolutely, because I basically borrowed against my future to pay for something that's temporary, right? Um, Debatable and temporary when it comes to a divorce, but when I borrowed against my retirement, I had like probably 20,000 in there, and I borrowed 10,000. That was 50% max. And it took me 5 years to repay with a 4% interest rate. That was like back in 2013. So there are two ways to do it. There's if you're a first time home buyer, I'm sorry, that's a withdrawal though. Sorry. If you do a TSP loan, just remember this. I've done a video on the 401k loan in the past. You can check it out on my channel. Just type in fireside chat 401k loan. I would go back in time and say, don't do it. I think that's one of the things that I know I try not to have any regrets, but that's one regret that I had is taking out borrowing $10,000 against my TSP in 2012 to 2013. I could have got a personal loan, even though the rates would have been higher at like 8%, 9% back in 2013 to pay for my legal costs for the divorce. But somebody said TSP loan would be a good idea because you repay the TSP loan with interest. But I missed out on the compounding growth in 2013, 14, 15, 13, 14, and 15. And if you want to go back to how the C fund has performed back in, back in those days, and 11 years later, almost 12 years later, yeah, I mean that's exponential, right? So that's money that I had already. It's gone. I mean, it went back into the TSP, but by the time it went back to the TSP, it went from 2013 to because I paid off my debt December 21st, 2015. So my money didn't start working until 2016. The argument that you could probably argue and say, well, you still have really good growth from 2016 to 2025. Sure, but I still missed out on those growth and I borrowed against my future to pay for something temporary. Okay. That's something to think about. If you have to borrow against your TSP for hardship reason, because you're going through some legal trouble or you can't pay off your bill, you can't pay your bills, or you can't pay your mortgage, because you can't make the housing payment, you need to look at your budget first. You need to find out why you're not making that payment. You need to find out why you're going over the budget every month. You need to start from there. And if this is like absolute emergency because you have drained every single option, sure, then it's a maybe. But I would still advise against it because, again, you are borrowing something that could potentially grow so so many in multiple, depending on your age. If you borrow against your future in your 20s, how much could you lose in value, right? Even if you pay back in full with interest. I read the comment section, but I know people would say, well, if I invested in real estate, dude, come on, man. Like, I understand real estate. Most people don't make profit with real estate in the first year or first 2 years, especially now with a high interest economy. Really, I mean, everybody understands that if you put, let's say, $10,000 down into a rental property, you're gonna make a 10% cash and cash return, and you're gonna make that money back in a little bit. Or are you really competing that with the C fund that's making what, 26% return this year? Real estate is awesome. It goes up in value. Leave your real estate on. Yeah, that's funny. Somebody just asked that too as I talked about it. Um, what about for investment real estate? You got to separate these. Retirement, leave that retirement alone. That is your insurance going into your late 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s until the end of your time. Okay, that's your retirement insurance. I'm not talking about insurance plans. I'm talking about your TSP, pensions, your 401k, IRAs, HSA. Those are going to be, they should be in that one category. Another category, real estate. If you're going to invest in real estate, and I love real estate, use cash. Don't borrow against your retirement to pay for something that is in another asset class. You may want to say, I want to, diversify a little bit. Cool. Don't do it from your retirement. That is your tax-free or tax-deferred growth. You want to retire with minimal taxes. Earlier in the live stream, I went over all the tax scenarios, right? You don't want to have all that tax burden. When it comes to real estate, if you're going to make a $50,000 down payment and then you want to, on a, I don't know, $300,000 home, okay, then just save up for that. And or maybe open up a taxable investment account and invest in that for near-term usage. I don't know. So I always leave retirement alone. I don't touch my 401k. I do not touch my IRAs. I don't touch my HSA. My wife has her own HSA. She has her IRAs, and she has her 457B plan. We don't touch any of them. We have vowed to never touch them. We always put 25% of our income towards our retirement. Real estate, that's always going to be either in a high yield savings account if we're saving in the short term. If we're saving for the long term, we're going to invest it in the index fund. That's the deal we have, and it's worked out really well. I don't take out any more debt. The only debt that I take out is a mortgage. Is a mortgage acceptable when it comes to investment property? Absolutely. but just don't use your retirement accounts as a leverage. Leave that alone. That's for you. That's for your retirement after you turn 55. REITs? Sure. I mean, real estate investment trust? Are you talking about that? Good question, though. I mean, going back to the TSP loan, I wouldn't do it for me. But I'm not going to tell you no, like a straight up no, because I don't know your financial situation, right? You can schedule a session with me, firesightchat.com/consultation. We can chat from there. And we can talk more about that. And not even for real estate. Whatever happened to Sandy? I guess Sandy is gone. Okay. Well, hopefully she gets to watch this on replay. And if she doesn't claim it by the time we do the next live stream, then I'm gonna have to give out 2 free courses, I guess. Sucks for Sandy if she's not here. Let me go back. Sandy Turner, IO 5. All right, cool. But all right, that's good enough. But guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. This has been a great live stream. I hope you got a lot out of this. I'm going to make this into video clips, then you can watch them later on my channel when I publish them. But really appreciate you guys for all the donations. And just remember, keep investing, stay invested. When the market has been great, just keep doing what you're doing. Okay, stick to the plan, and don't deviate. Just keep going. All right. Well, until next time.